My name is Liz Perez, as you can see here. I am running for City Council at large. I'm hoping to earn your vote for one of the 3 seats. I'm just a longtime resident of Corpus. I've tried my best and tried my hardest to be part of this beautiful community. I do have a family. I have a small family. It's my husband and myself and my 3 girls. They do keep me tons busy because they're small still. Our oldest is only 7. So between work and those girls, they do keep me plenty busy, but I still try to make time for the community when I can. I'm running because I have the chance now. My kids are, though they are small, they are starting to become more independent, and I feel like it's a good time for me. I just felt in my gut that now would be a good time for me to put my name in the hat and try to do good for our community. I know that there's a lot going on, and I know it can seem overwhelming at times, but I want to come here and give a voice back to the people. I really feel like that's kind of a big theme throughout my platform and throughout my campaign, is being that force and that voice for the people again, because I think a little bit of focus that should be on the people has kind of gone elsewhere, and I think it's time for the voice of the people to be heard again. So that's kind of who I am. It's in short, I do work. I am a full-time employee for a local law firm, so I work full-time, and my husband also works full-time, and then the girls are another full-time job in and of itself. So I'm no stranger to organizing. I'm no stranger to prioritizing. So I just really feel like I have great qualities. I feel like I do know our community, and I wanted to run to be part of maybe a new council with a fresh new outlook.
Well, good evening. My name is Mike Pusley. I am a candidate for an at-large position on the Corpus Christi City Council. I am on the ballot. I'm position number 2, so I drew a lucky number up at the top. There are 13 of us running for at-large position on the City Council, and as of course you will pick the 3 out of that 13. The 3 top vote getters will be elected to the City Council. There is no runoff, and so the top 3 vote getters will serve on the council. I am a lifelong resident of Corpus Christi, born and raised here. I spent almost 40 years in the oil and gas exploration business. I retired in 2013, and during my career, I have done a little over 34 years of public service here in our community. First being elected to the Toloso Midway School Board, served there for 9 years, and then I left the board and was appointed to a number of different positions with the City of Corpus Christi. I served on the Stormwater Advisory Committee, and then they bumped me up to the Planning Commission. I served 4 years on the Stormwater Advisory Committee and 6 years on the Planning Commission. And then I ran for County Commissioner here in Nueces County. Was elected to County Commissioner's Court in 2009 and served 3 terms there for a total of just a little over 9 years. I ran for County Judge, was not successful in that endeavor. And I was very happy with being retired, and a group of businessmen got together and asked me if I would please run for City Council, that we needed some help on the council. And so that's one of the main reasons I'm running, but I think I can bring that 34 years of experience in public service and my 40 years of experience in the business world to the City of Corpus Christi and help move this city forward in a very positive direction. I love this city. This is my home. My children are here. My 5 grandchildren are here. My wife and I have been married for 47 years, and we have 2 beautiful daughters and 5 beautiful grandchildren, and they're all here. And so I tell everyone I have a special interest in making sure Corpus Christi grows, prospers, and is something that we can all be proud of.
My name's Larry White. I'm running for City Council at large. I'm running because Corpus Christi is my home, but to be honest, I'm a little frustrated with what I've seen over the last few years. I was on the City Ethics Commission for about 5 years, and as I've said before, I saw the ugly side of City Hall. It was a real eye-opener. I'm a retired engineer, and as an engineer, I've been following our infrastructure, and I am just very upset how the City Council has been handling our infrastructure for the last 20 years. And I'm an engineer, I understand this stuff, and so I want to get on the council and try to straighten things out.
My name is John Martinez. I'm a lifelong resident of Corpus Christi, born and raised. I went to Carroll High School. After high school, I went off to college at Texas A&M University in College Station. When I graduated from A&M, I went to Baylor University in Waco for my law degree. After receiving my law degree, I returned to Corpus to start my practice. I began working with the Clayburgh Law Firm here in Corpus Christi and have kind of gone from there. After a couple of years of practicing law, I was elected judge in 2006, and I served as judge for Nueces County Court at Law number 3 until December of 2011. After that, I went back into private practice. Before that, I got married, and I had 3 beautiful children. Continued my practice and kind of went from there. After my practice, I stayed involved with the community. I was a member of the Corpus Christi Crime Control and Prevention District. I was a graduate of Leadership Corpus Christi. I was a board member for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I currently serve as the chairman for the Nueces County Hospital District Board of Directors. So I've stayed very involved in our community even after my public service as a judge. You know, and as far as city council, it's just a natural thing. I've always been involved with the city and kind of how things go in the city. And I've wanted to get involved in this capacity to do more than what I was doing just serving on a board. You know, the problems that we have with our city now with the roads and infrastructure, they're problems that we've always had. Even when I started in politics 15, 20 years ago, the issues were the same. But things have changed since then, and now there are different ways of doing things, different solutions, different options that we haven't always had. As far as the timing, you know, my young kids that I had back when I was a judge are now growing up, and my oldest is getting ready to go to college next year. And for me, coming back to Corpus Christi there was never an option that I wasn't coming back home. My family was here, and I had a very close family, and there was never any sense that I would go anywhere other than Corpus Christi. And that wasn't true for a lot of my friends from high school or childhood friends. Most of them went off to other towns, mostly San Antonio. And I didn't want that for my family. I understood the reasons why people went off. And it was opportunity. And so I want to make sure that my children have opportunity here in Corpus Christi so that if they want to return home and raise their families here with their parents, they have that option and they can do that. And so that's why I'm running for city council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Arriaga Jr., and I am a lifelong resident of Corpus Christi, Texas. I am running for city council at large. And the reason that I'm running is because I believe that our community is the greatest community in the state of Texas, and we have a tremendous future ahead of us, a future that can go a variety of different directions, as it did back in 1958 when we had the same population as Austin. So I'm running because it's time that we had a leader in office that can adequately represent everybody in the city and not just a pocket from where they're from. My history is that I was born and raised in District 2, originally on 14th and Morgan, purchased a home in Lindale on Ponder Street 8 years ago, and I enjoy every part of the community. It's very important to me. I went to Ray High School. I grew up playing at Lindale basketball in the evenings, and so just the area is somewhere that I've spent a significant amount of time in my life here in Corpus Christi. We have a son, 2 sons, 7 and 4, and my girlfriend Lisbeth, who is really a large part of also why I'm running, because the future is now more in focus than ever. Those who know me know that, you know, family life is new to me and has really put life in perspective. I want to build a community that I will be proud of introducing them to, more so than what we already have. I think that's a tremendous culture here in Corpus Christi, and I think we have an opportunity to enhance that while making smart decisions that are going to put us in a situation to be selective about the type of jobs that we recruit here. I think it's no secret that we all want good economic development and opportunities, but we would like to have some options when it comes to the types of companies that are coming here. My position is that in order to accomplish this, we need to set the table. And what that involves is addressing some of the needs that we have while figuring out a plan for how we get the wants. So my small business background as an owner of a Corpus Christi Wine Festival and somebody who focuses my day-to-day, everyday business and life on helping small business owners run a more efficient practice is to hope to take that experience into City Hall and use that work and experience to go to work on our budget. We have a $1 billion budget. The city of San Antonio has a $2.9 billion budget. So I have some questions about why our budget is so large in comparison to San Antonio's when you consider the size and scope of the services that they're delivering. We're not going to be able to save our way to prosperity, and I think it's important that we all recognize that at some point we'll have to make investments, but revenue discussions shouldn't be on the table right now when we're all facing the hardest year that we've had to face in most of our lifetimes. So my position is that we need to go in there, dig into the budget, find every possible penny, scrutinize every penny that we're spending now, and see if it's the best way that we can spend it. We may find that there's a lot of money left, and we may find that there's not much money left. But the key is to make sure that every single taxpayer dollar that we're putting into the coffers is being used in the best way, shape, form possible to return the investment for the taxpayer. So I hope to get support from everybody in this endeavor. There are a number of projects ahead of us with respect to infrastructure that'll be part of our conversation as well. But in the meantime, I think it's really mostly about focusing on how we're doing business. How are we securing and procuring contracts? Where are we spending money internally? What opportunities do we have to insource? And how can we be more efficient?
Hello, my name is Patricia Peña-Noyola. I am running for City Council at large. I am number 10 on the ballot. I am a small business owner. I am in the financial services industry where I help people plan for their retirement. I am also a single mom of 5 daughters. I'm also a World War II, I'm a daughter of a World War II veteran. I have been living in Corpus my whole life, graduated from Moody High School in 1985 and went to Corpus Christi State University, where I majored in business with an emphasis in accounting and finance. The reason why I decided that this was the time to run for City Council was because my oldest daughter, who's a recent graduate from Baylor, she and I were talking and she said, "Mom, I would like to come home. I am going to be getting married soon. I want this to be a place where I settle down and have my family. The only thing is, are there going to be jobs that are going to be available with somebody that has my degree?" And it got me thinking, and it made me realize that there are a lot of things that have to be improved in Corpus Christi. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have not been in a forward movement, but I do think there's always room for improvement. One of the other reasons that work with being able to provide jobs is making sure that we had our infrastructure completed. We've had several bonds that the voters have passed, and a lot of those work orders in our neighborhood streets haven't been completed yet. That was also a concern of mine. And lastly, public safety, which is no question should be improved. We should have a lot more officers out there patrolling our community and making sure that our community continues to remain safe for us to have our families here. Those are the 3 key points. Those are the reasons why I am running for city council, and I ask for your help and your support in electing me to city council at large. I'm number 10 on the ballot.
Hello, my name is Brian Rosas. I'm a candidate for city council at large. I'm number 11 on the ballot. I'm born and raised here in Corpus Christi. I'm a fellow Lindalian. I'm married with 2 children, 2 stepchildren, 4 grandchildren. So I'm a vested person here in Corpus Christi. Graduated from 4-H Moody High School. Graduated from Del Mar College. Went off to TAMU CC where I got a bachelor's and a master's in counseling. Hopefully, if elected, the reason why I'm running is I feel that I can represent the citizens of Corpus Christi. I did it with the citizens of District 2. I have a strong voting record in favor for the citizens. I have a wealth of knowledge of the city budget, planning, and how taxpayers' dollars can be prioritized to give citizens your 100% services, city services, because you're expected to pay 100% of your city taxes. It's important you receive city services at 100%. Or worked for Child Protective Services in the past. I was a teacher for CCISD, and I'm a current employee at the Army Depot currently right now.
My name is Deanna Michelle King, and I'm running for city council at large. And the main reason why I'm running is there's 3 things that people are concerned about: our streets, people who are homeless, and clean water. And those are the main issues that I want to address. Of course, there's other issues that I need to get into once I get elected, if I'm elected to city council. But like I said, our infrastructure is cratering, and you can tell by our streets. That's really one of the main concerns. A lot of people are concerned about that because they're tired of having to get alignments frequently. They're tired of have to get new tires frequently. And plus it looks bad in the neighborhoods. It just citywide, it just looks bad with all the potholes. And then the people that are homeless, they need help. They either have substance abuse problems or they have mental health issues. And we just need to get in there and find out what the underlying conditions that they need help with. And then, of course, the obvious, people are tired of water boils. We haven't had them in a long time, but we still don't have clean water. I mean, we were just sued by the Environmental Protection Agency for having an inadequate water supply. And that shouldn't be happening here in Corpus Christi, Texas. We're a town of 300 or more, and compared to you go to San Antonio, they don't have any problem with not having clean water. So we should be able to do the same thing here. And also, there's a disconnect between city council officials and the residents here. Y'all should have a voice. Y'all are taxpayers. Y'all elect them, so they should listen to your concerns. And so I want to be the voice for the people.
Well, I believe a lot in neighborhoods. I think that's kind of your tribe. I don't want to sound cheesy or corny, but I really feel like when the neighborhood is strong, when you have a chance to really get to know your neighbors. Again, I was briefly a member of the Lindale community alongside with you for a few years. And the one thing that my husband and I did both love about Lindale was the cohesiveness of the neighborhood. And I really would like to see more of that throughout the city, because your neighbors look out for one another. You also kind of, it's not just it goes beyond a sort of public safety kind of feel, where you are looking out for one another. You're giving each other a heads up when when something is not right, or when there have been break-ins and burglaries. But also the upside is that you do have that sense of community, and it's a great sense of like a family. And people, you can go to for more than that. You can go to for advice or goods and services. I know a lot of people, and they do their own contract work, they own their own business or something. So it's a way for everyone to kind of connect on that level and help each other out. I'm really a big fan of that. And so that would be great to see other neighborhoods in Corpus sort of mimic that same idea that Lindale has. I don't have any experience living in other neighborhoods. I know the new neighborhood that we're in now doesn't really have that same cohesiveness, but I feel like it is something that can be built. And I feel like it's something that should be built and something that should be encouraged as well.
Well, it's extremely important for us to have strong neighborhoods. The neighborhood I live in, my wife and I moved here in 1991. Not too long after that, I was asked to serve as chair of the Architectural Control Committee for our neighborhood. And so I'm very involved in what goes on in my neighborhood. And I think it's vitally important that people get involved in what's going on in their neighborhood. It helps you know your neighbors. It helps you keep an eye on things. We can almost tell when there's a strange car driving through our neighborhood. And so those are important things. And it also gives you a voice when you need to go before the city. If you're a neighborhood that works together and communicates with each other, when you have an issue that you need to bring before your elected officials, it gives you a very strong voice. And so I think that's vitally important.
You're talking about neighborhood activities like your organization. It's very valuable because I'm going to use the term, it brings people together. People are involved with their neighbors on situations like this, on elections. I like trying to tell, because a couple of other neighborhood organizations have had this similar forums, and it helps the people of your community understand the candidates. But to me, it's just as important for the candidates to learn about the community. You hear the questions, you hear people talk, and you get a real good sense of what the feeling is out there.
Well, a city is nothing but a bunch of neighborhoods together, and the neighborhoods is our citizens. That's where we live. So the strength of our neighborhoods is the strength of our city. And the way our neighborhoods are treated is an indication of what our city is. What we want as residents of the cities, we want a good quality of life, right? We want a good quality of life for us and for our kids. And to have that good quality of life, we have to have safe neighborhoods. We have to have clean neighborhoods. We have to have good roads and good infrastructure in those neighborhoods. And we have to have the services for those neighborhoods to make sure that all those things are taken care of. It's important that people in the neighborhoods actively participate in things like this, because as we all know, the people that get the most action are the ones that are the loudest. It's the ones that are organized together that come in and say, we want these changes. And so that's what is so great about groups like yours that stay involved with the neighborhoods, is that it gives you a voice. It gives you a voice to council that many times, many neighborhoods don't have that voice. And they wonder, why are our streets not getting fixed? Why are our sidewalks not getting repaired? It's because they have to have that voice that goes and says, hey, we demand that this is done. We pay taxes like everybody else. We're citizens like everybody else. So that's a very important aspect that I think a lot of people overlook, but it's certainly one of the most important aspects of our community.
So I believe that the best communities and the best cities in the country are communities that embrace diverse neighborhoods. What I mean by diverse neighborhoods, I mean a mix of incomes. And I think we see that in Lindale, and we see that in District 2, right? I was one of the poorest kids at Ray High School, relatively speaking, going to school with some of the richest kids in the city. And so that community that Ray High School has, and that history that they have, I think is something that is very unique and powerful, and it's why they have such a great alumni association. So I think that neighborhoods play a huge role in communities, and everything that we can do as a city to prop up neighborhoods and make them more walkable, make them more, more family oriented, encourage people to get outside. We should be trying to do those kinds of things.
Everything that we have in Corpus Christi makes Corpus Christi beautiful. Neighborhoods will make Corpus Christi beautiful if we do everything we can to keep those neighborhoods safe and clean, and we keep those streets and those neighborhoods looking good. There are several neighborhoods throughout the city of Corpus Christi in different areas of town where there are piles and piles of trash that we haven't had picked up. There are homes that are eyesores in certain neighborhoods where we do not stress code enforcement to move forward in getting these issues resolved and continue to make our neighborhoods beautiful. So there are things, the neighborhoods are very valuable in attracting people to come to Corpus, but we have to make sure that those neighborhoods continue to look good and prosper so that we can continue to move the city forward.
I think neighborhoods are very important. It's a pinnacle of safety here in the city. I think once citizens of the neighborhood get to know one another, it's a lot easier to monitor any kind of suspicious acts within the neighborhood. I was one of the first people to have Nextdoor come to the district that I live in, and we got together with the police department. And of course, as you know, then Nextdoor became very big and everybody else started to jump in on it. So the community aspect of it, the phrase of it takes a community to raise children, it's definitely a good slogan, because it takes a community to work together so that we can be heard and we are actually one voice, because solidarity is everything when it comes to where you live. So I think it's important that we know our neighbors, respect our neighbors, and be passionate about where we live, so that we know that we're all helping one another.
That's very important. That's one of the things here in Corpus Christi, and I think this happens in bigger cities too. You know, there's different areas of the town, and some people want to just focus on certain areas of the town. That's why I ran for city council at large, because every area of Corpus Christi is important to me. And there's people on the island that don't know people, you know, on the north side, vice versa. You know, in order to have a strong community as a whole, we got to get to know each other, you know, not just have different parts to the town and saying this is the south side, this is north side, this is west side. You know, we should know each other. This is a small enough community that we should be able to have, of course, not get-togethers during the pandemic, but hopefully when the pandemic is over, we should get to know each other better. Every area, you know, there shouldn't be a division amongst the areas. You know, I think to build a strong community is to get to know one another.
I think I'm a big fan of also our boards, our committees, and our commissions. So I think maybe perhaps, you know, I think the council can definitely tackle that. And I think maybe there can be an initiative, you know, or like just maybe working hand in hand with, well, first of all, with the district leaders of each district, and then maybe going from there on a council level, but maybe also I'm losing my words, maybe reevaluating our boards and commissions and seeing if a new board or committee can be made with this initiative in mind. You know, and seeing, you know, hand in hand with maybe not just your district leaders, but also maybe your CCPD as well, see what kinds of ideas they might have. I'm a big proponent of the more heads, the merrier. So, you know, the more of our community leaders or departments that are involved, the better, because somebody will bring an idea to the table that, you know, you haven't thought of. That's the great thing about having so many different people, you know, come together. So I think that's probably an avenue that I would take, because there's a lot that you can do within those boards and committees. I've seen it myself, because it starts at the board or committee level, and then it moves to the council level. And then when it's a little bit more cohesive and something that we can discuss and something that we can implement from there. So I think that would be a good plan, is to go back to the drawing board and maybe create a board or committee for it.
Well, I think one of the main things that the city can do is provide the services that we all depend on, and make sure that those services are provided in a cost-effective and efficient manner. So, for example, your water service, having a dependable water source, and not having to have these continuous water rationing issues. I mean, like I said, I've lived here all my life, and it seems like I've been under some sort of water rationing program for my entire life. So we need to fix that problem. We need to make sure that our neighborhood streets and our neighborhood sidewalks, curbs, and gutters are maintained, and make sure that those are safe and that people can get around. It makes absolutely no sense to put in handicap accessible curbs when the sidewalk between those two curbs is impassable by anyone. So we need to make sure we do those things. And I think lastly, we need to make sure that we're funding our police and fire departments to the point where they can provide community safety in all of our neighborhoods, which makes people feel safe, makes people not have to worry about their property. And I think that is a very important part of what the city can do. And it'll be a very important thing for me as your city council member.
Okay, neighborhoods, I'll just throw in, when I lived over on Cricket Hollow, I was a street captain for our neighborhood association. This is about 20 years ago. One thing that I remember that helped a lot was involvement by the city council. One time we even had the mayor involved with meetings of the neighborhood association. That helps to bring people in there. You have the mayor or one of your city council members, primarily your district representative, attend your meetings. Want to encourage that. The other, I guess, would be is at the city hall that we maintain a list of the neighborhood associations and the president or the officers with phone numbers. And so they know, the city council members know who these people are, and talk to them every once in a while. It's called communication. I'd call it more verbal communication between city council members and the officers of neighborhood associations. I see that helping, and maybe getting something a little more formalized on the city webpage, listing or commenting the neighborhood associations that we have. Right now, I think you're of the neighborhood associations, you're the third one. There are two others that we've been involved with, but for a city this size, you need about at least 5 to 10 active, I'm going to use the word active, neighborhood organizations.
You know, there are things that we can do. We can incentivize certain things that we need in certain areas. If there are areas that are blighted, that need help with dilapidated buildings or things like that, we can help to take care of some of those issues, right? If there are buildings that need to be torn down, we can tear them down. If they have issues with gangs or drugs or things like that, the city can help to eliminate those things from those neighborhoods. But again, the neighborhoods have to have a voice, and they have to make council aware of what they want and what the issues are. We have members of council that are from all over the community, but you see oftentimes that with at-large candidates, they may come from the same part. And even though the at-large represents the whole city, they need the voice the people from the different parts of the city to tell them what they need. The resources that we're going to need as far as code enforcement, police protection, things like that, we have to hear where the needs are and that the citizens want that, so that we can provide it.
The first part of that is what can we do? And I think that you have to identify the biggest needs in each individual neighborhood. Now we're talking about District 2. I think District 2 has huge issues with lighting in our neighborhoods, sidewalks, of course. You know, we talk about that a lot in residential roads. So a big part of it is just making sure that we even make going outside something that we want to do. So continuing the efforts with the roads, namely residential, is going to be a key part of that. Now, aside from that, is we really just need to improve green spaces. You know, we have too many small parks and not enough big parks. And so we've got to do a better job at identifying the green spaces that are being utilized and making sure that we're allowing the people in city services to go to work. You know, and talking to some of the people there, they 4 years ago, they faced some big funding cuts. They lost some staffing. And so I think that making sure that we restore funding for the green, you know, for that department to ensure that we can maintain the green spaces that we have and make them more modern. You know, we need better equipment. The splash pad was a great addition to Lindale, and I think that a lot of the other neighborhoods, from what I've heard, are pretty jealous about it. So I'm proud to have it here. But so those are the kinds of things we need to do, and we really need to listen to the neighbors and the communities that have strong organizations and you know, You know, there's different, I guess, homeowner associations, but you also just have strong neighborhood groups like Lindale, and you work closely with them to find out how you can support them best, and we go find the money. That's what our job is.
One thing that has happened, and we have not seen the opportunity for public comment. It's very important as an elected official, not just during the time that we're running for office, but as a continued effort, an ongoing effort to listen to the citizens of Corpus Christi. There has been work orders in place for years upon years that the city council has not held the city manager or city staff accountable to follow up with those work orders and making sure those work orders have been complete. One of the very first things I'm going to address with city staff is, why are we not following up with the citizens of Corpus Christi in these neighborhoods that have placed work orders, that have been long awaiting work orders? What is our follow-up process? Are we following up with our citizens? Are we letting them know that we are working on it? And if we're not, I want to find out why, and I want an answer to why. If it's because we are overloaded or understaffed, then we need to figure out how to get the staff there so that we can respond to some of our citizens. It has been far too long where our citizens are being charged monthly for services, for street fees, for all of these things. Our citizens have no problem paying their bill every single month, but yet they can't get a phone call as to why their potholes haven't been repaired, or why there isn't, why the manhole is filled with debris and the water cannot flow or drain properly. We have no problem paying our bills every single month. We should get the answers and the response time as expeditiously as it is as we are paying our bill.
Well, I think first it starts with where you live. I know that I had jumped into Lindale, where they had already had a very active program here within the neighborhood, and I just kind of jumped in that. We had community farming. Not farming. Community planners, and we had a garden that was really good. That people got to see one another when they were planning things. They just opened a splash pad here in the neighborhood. Me as a representative, I would just try to push for the Parks and Rec, because I know that helps out tremendously in uniting everyone here in the neighborhood. And I know that by working with the city and the county, by allocating those kind of programs and not cutting any programs, it's important that we keep city services going. You receive your city services at 100%. So that's kind of why I'm running. I think it's important that we as a neighborhood get together and have these, for example, National Night Out. I mean, those kind of things are big because it definitely shows the unity of the neighborhood, and we all get to know one another. So it's great to know familiar faces. I mean, we're like one big family, and I think it's great, and that's how it's got to start. But as far as ramping it up, I think would just to be more involved in it. I mean, that's the biggest key. As a public servant, again, we're elected by the people, so it's important that we just stay active and people see us doing more for our neighborhoods. But again, at the citywide level, at the city at large seat, it's a citywide thing. But I think once these little communities start to develop, I think we'll be able to monitor each other very well. So
one thing is, if I get elected, I would like to have the city council meetings moved to the afternoon instead of 11:30 on Tuesdays. I think they should be in the afternoon where working class people can be there and see what's going on within the city. Like I said earlier, they are allowed to, y'all are the taxpayers. Y'all should be able to see what's going on with the city and within the city. There shouldn't be a disconnect between city officials and residents at all. I think since they're the ones that are voting, we're the ones that are voting them in. We should know what's going on within the city council. And I suggest we have town hall meetings as well. Town hall meetings on each side of the town, and sometime maybe get people together in town hall meetings. Of course, you can't do that right during the pandemic, but I think it can build a strong Corpus Christi community.